Righteous judge of heaven and earth, I step before your throne, where every verdict is weighed by truth, and no limitation survives your authority. Today, I declare that the seat of judgment over my destiny has shifted. Every power that once evaluated my progress, measured my growth, and decided how far I could go has been summoned, examined, and overruled by your higher decree. Where my life was once ruled by invisible ceilings and unseen permissions, I now stand under a verdict authored by you alone. Let the gavel of heaven strike on my behalf and announce that my advancement is no longer subject to inferior courts, lesser voices, or outdated decisions. By the authority of your word, I renounce every unauthorized tribunal that once spoke limits into my future. Every gathering, whether spiritual, ancestral, territorial, or mental, that deliberated against my progress is dissolved now. I reject every judgment that said, "This is enough, this is your portion," or "You cannot go further." I declare that no power has jurisdiction over my destiny except the one who formed me. Let every illegal verdict be erased, every restriction revoked, and every boundary enforced by darkness collapse under divine review. Father, let light flood every record that was kept against my life, where files were opened to monitor my movement, slow my growth, or regulate my success. Let your fire consume them now. I declare that nothing written against me can survive your truth. Every limitation documented in the realm of the unseen, whether through fear, failure, delay, or repeated cycles, is now overturned. Replace every false record with a new decree that announces freedom, expansion, and unhindered movement. I proclaim that the authority that once stopped me at certain levels has lost its voice. Every power that positioned itself as a gatekeeper over my future is stripped of its mandate. Where resistance once rose the moment I advanced, let divine clearance now go before me. I refuse to negotiate with limitations that heaven has already rejected. I move forward not by permission of men or systems, but by authorization from the throne of God. Lord, where my steps were once weighed down by invisible pressure, lift me into a new dimension of movement. Break the atmosphere of restraint that surrounded my efforts, and release an environment that agrees with my progress. Let the heaviness that slowed me dissolve, and let ease replace struggle. I declare that my journey forward will no longer be marked by strain, but by alignment with divine momentum. I announce that every decision made against my destiny without my consent is cancelled. Every agreement entered into through ignorance, fear, or inherited patterns is nullified. Now, I withdraw my life from every limitation contract, spoken or unspoken, known or hidden. I realign my destiny with the original intention of my Creator, where growth is not feared and expansion is not punished. Let the fear of going beyond familiar boundaries be uprooted from my spirit. Where my mind learned to stop before resistance, retrain me for obedience without hesitation. I declare that I will no longer retreat at opposition or pause at pressure. My movement is no longer governed by past experiences, repeated disappointments, or warnings from failed outcomes. I receive courage to advance without apology, and confidence to occupy new ground. Father, announce my release in realms I do not see. Let every watcher, every enforcer of limits, every power assigned to regulate my progress, receive notice that my season has changed. I declare that I am no longer subject to spiritual checkpoints designed to slow me down. I move with clearance, speed, and divine backing into territories once closed to me. I decree that the verdict of heaven over my life is expansion without restraint. Where I once advanced cautiously, I now move boldly. Where I once waited for approval, I now walk in authority. Let the sound of freedom follow me, and let resistance retreat before me. I am no longer a candidate for limitation, but a carrier of divine advancement. I seal this prayer with thanksgiving, knowing that what has been judged in my favor cannot be reversed. I step forward under a new ruling, governed by truth, upheld by power, and sustained by grace. The authority that once limited me is overruled, and my life now responds to a higher command. I move beyond former limits now, and nothing returns me to where I once stopped. Almighty God, I ask that your light penetrate every hidden boundary assigned to my life, where limits were concealed, unnamed, and enforced without explanation. Expose them now. Reveal every invisible ceiling that stopped my progress, just as momentum was building. Let nothing remain hidden that was designed to restrain me. I declare that no unseen wall has the right to stand when you bring illumination and truth. Father, I confront every spiritual boundary that told my effort where to end. Every line drawn in the unseen to restrict my growth, I challenge it now by divine authority. Where advancement repeatedly stalled at the same point, I declare that the source of that resistance is uncovered. I refuse to be stopped by limits I did not create and did not consent to. I address every mental ceiling formed through repeated disappointment, delayed results, or silent resistance. Where my mind learned to expect limitation, retrain my vision for expansion. Break patterns of thinking that accept stagnation as normal or delay as permanent. I declare that my thoughts will no longer agree with invisible barriers, but will align with your promise of increase and forward movement. Lord, expose every generational boundary that determined how far people in my lineage were allowed to go. Where progress historically stopped at a certain level, I declare that pattern broken. I refuse to inherit ceilings that were never ordained by you. Let the limits that governed previous generations lose their authority over my life now. I confront every territorial restriction assigned to the environment I operate in. Where regions, systems, or spaces resisted my rise, I declare divine override. Every atmosphere that refused to cooperate with my growth is corrected now. I carry light into every space I enter, and no territory has permission to restrain what you have authorized. Father, reveal every spiritual agreement that empowered limits to remain hidden. Where silence protected restriction, let truth dismantle it. Where confusion masked resistance, let clarity rise. I declare that nothing restricting my destiny can hide behind mystery, delay, or misdirection any longer. I confront every emotional ceiling built by fear of loss, fear of visibility, or fear of responsibility. Where success felt dangerous and progress felt costly, heal my inner foundations. I declare that I can advance without fear and rise without collapse. Let confidence replace caution and faith replace hesitation. Lord, identify every cycle that reset my progress back to the same point. Where advancement was repeatedly erased, interrupted, or reversed, I declare that cycle broken now. I refuse to keep proving my readiness at the same level. I move forward permanently and without rollback. I declare that every invisible ceiling loses its power the moment it is exposed. What was once hidden is now powerless. What was once unchallenged is now dismantled. I step beyond every former stopping point with clarity, authority, and divine backing. I thank you, Father, because exposure is the beginning of removal. I move forward, knowing that no unseen limit remains unchecked. Every ceiling has been identified, confronted, and marked for destruction. I advance freely now, no longer restrained by what I could not see before. Eternal Father, I stand on the authority of your truth and declare that every ancient decision spoken against my destiny is revoked now. Where judgments were made in times past, before my awareness, before my maturity, before my strength, I summon them before your light. Every decree that concluded my future prematurely is overturned. I refuse to live under sentences written by ignorance, fear, or darkness. Let your present word invalidate every past verdict that did not originate from you. I address every spoken word, vow, proclamation, or utterance that placed a limit on my life. Whether spoken by authority figures, environments, adversaries, or even by my own mouth in moments of weakness, I cancel their power now. I declare that no word has the right to define my boundary except the word of the living God. Let every negative pronouncement lose its grip and dissolve from my path forward. Lord, where covenants were formed without my knowledge, through bloodlines, traditions, rituals, or inherited agreements, I withdraw from them now. I renounce every ancient contract that measured my success, regulated my progress, or capped my reach. I declare that my destiny is no longer tied to old altars, former sacrifices, or ancestral bargains. I belong wholly to you, and my future is governed by your covenant alone. I confront every decision made in spiritual realms that assigned me a fixed limit. Where councils gathered to decide how far I could go, I declare those assemblies dissolved. Let every authority that once enforced those decisions be stripped of its mandate. I announce that heaven's ruling supersedes every inferior judgment, and my life now responds to a higher command. Father, erase every record that preserved those ancient decisions. Where they were documented, remembered, or enforced through repetition, let your fire consume them. I declare that nothing from my past has permission to dictate my future. The ink of old judgments is wiped away, and my destiny is rewritten by your hand. I renounce limitations that entered my life through seasons of trauma, loss, or survival, where decisions were formed in pain and carried forward as truth. Heal me now. I declare that my future is not bound to conclusions formed in moments of distress. I receive restoration of vision, confidence, and expectation beyond what I once thought possible. Lord, I reject every cycle that enforced old decisions through repetition, where progress always returned me to the same place. I declare that loop broken. I'm not condemned to relive former outcomes. I move forward, free from historical repetition and released into new patterns of advancement. I declare that my identity is no longer shaped by what was decided about me, but by what you say concerning me now. I refuse to live beneath labels, limits, or expectations assigned in the past. I receive a fresh identity rooted in purpose, authority, and expansion. My life is no longer a continuation of old conclusions, but a manifestation of new truth. Father, let the sound of cancellation echo through every realm connected to my life. Let every ancient decision hear that its time is over. I step into the present with authority, clarity, and freedom. What once governed me has lost its power, and what once limited me can no longer follow me. I seal this prayer with faith, knowing that what has been nullified cannot return. Ancient decisions are broken, expired, and powerless over my destiny. I move forward under a new order, guided by your will and sustained by your strength. My future is open, unrestricted, and fully aligned with your divine intention. Father of light and truth, I rise now against every voice that dared to say, "This is your limit." Every tongue that spoke finality over my growth, every whisper that enforced a stopping point in my journey, I silence it now by your authority. No voice, human, spiritual, internal, or inherited, has the power to conclude my destiny when you have not spoken. I declare that every statement designed to halt me permanently loses its influence and authority over my life. I confront every power that enforced limitation through intimidation. Where fear, I address every inner voice shaped by past failure, disappointment, or rejection that learned to say, "Stop here." Where experience trained my heart to expect resistance and settle prematurely, heal me now. I silence the echo of failure that tries to advise restraint. I declare that my spirit is no longer counseled by past pain, but led by present truth and future promise. I command every external voice that reinforced limitation to be muted. Every system, authority, environment, or relationship that consistently communicated, "You are going too far," loses its influence over my decisions. I break agreement with approval-based movement. I no longer need validation to advance. I move because you have authorized my growth. Father, silence every monitoring voice assigned to track my progress and resist it. Where spiritual watchers, gatekeepers, or enforcers rose to announce resistance at each new level, I declare their assignment terminated. Let every voice assigned to challenge my advancement receive notice that their jurisdiction has ended. I advance now without commentary, resistance, or delay. I confront every delay voice that told me wait when you said move. Where hesitation was enforced through confusion, doubt, or false timing, I receive clarity now. I declare that I will no longer miss moments of advancement because of unauthorized caution. My obedience will be swift, accurate, and fearless. Lord, silence every comparison voice that told me I had reached my maximum. Where others' limits were projected onto my life, I reject them now. I am not bound by the ceilings of those around me. I refuse to measure my destiny against incomplete stories or restricted outcome. My life follows your design, not collective limitation. I silence the voice of fatigue that told me I could not sustain progress. Where weariness spoke louder than vision, renew my strength now. I declare that my capacity is restored, my endurance multiplied, and my energy aligned with divine purpose. I will not stop because of exhaustion when you supply strength without measure. Father, let silence fall permanently where opposition once spoke. Let quiet replace resistance. Let peace replace pressure. I declare that the environment around my life is recalibrated to support my growth. Where voices once argued against my advancement, let alignment and cooperation now rise. I seal this declaration. knowing that every limiting voice is permanently muted. What once spoke against my future can no longer be heard. I move forward, led by your voice alone. Clear, authoritative, and unstoppable. I advance without interruption, without intimidation, and without retreat. The voice that said, "Enough," is silent forever, and my journey continues beyond every former boundary. Mighty Deliverer, I come before you to sever every inherited boundary that traveled through my bloodline and tried to settle in my life. Where limitation became familiar through family patterns, repeated struggles, or unfinished destinies, I break that continuity now. I declare that my life is not a continuation of ancestral ceilings, but a new expression of divine intention. What limited those before me will not govern how far I go. I confront every generational agreement that decided a stopping point for my lineage, where progress historically stalled, success plateaued, or advancement triggered loss. I declare that pattern broken by your power. I refuse to inherit unfinished journeys, aborted dreams, or capped outcomes. I step out of inherited limits and into generational breakthrough. Father, where bloodline patterns enforced fear of rising too high, heal the root now. Where advancement was associated with danger, conflict, or collapse, I declare a new narrative established. My growth will not bring destruction, and my success will not invite disaster. I rise safely, steadily, and securely under your covering. I address every ancestral voice that whispered restraint into my future. Every echo of "this is as far as we go" loses authority over me now. I honor those who came before me, but I refuse to be governed by their limits. I declare that I am permitted to finish what they could not complete, and to exceed what they were never allowed to reach. Lord, cleanse my spiritual foundation from inherited ceilings. Where limitations were normalized and passed down as wisdom, uproot them now. Replace inherited caution with divine confidence. I receive permission to dream beyond my history and move beyond my family's former boundaries. I confront every inherited altar that regulated advancement in my lineage, where success demanded sacrifice, where progress came with cost and loss. I dismantle that system now. I declare that my increase is not paid for with sorrow, tragedy, or reversal. My advancement flows from grace, not bloodline bondage. Father, let a new generational pattern begin with me. Where stagnation repeated, let progress now repeat. Where cycles of limitation returned, let cycles of increase take their place. I declare that what follows me will not struggle where I struggled, because I am breaking the ground now. I release my future generations from inherited restraint. What ends with me will not restart after me. I declare that ceilings collapse not only over my life, but over every destiny connected to me. My obedience today becomes freedom for those who come after. Lord, establish me as a breaker of limits in my lineage. Let my life rewrite what is possible for my family line. Where history set boundaries, let destiny override them. I rise beyond inherited restriction and carry a new standard forward. I seal this prayer knowing that bloodline barriers have been dismantled. I am no longer governed by what my lineage endured, but by what you have ordained. I go further without guilt, rise higher without fear, and advance without restraint. Generational limits are broken, and a new future has begun through me. Sovereign Lord, I confront the resistance that rises at the edge of expansion and declare it defeated now. Every force that intensifies its opposition the moment I begin to move forward is dismantled by your authority. Where pressure increased just before breakthrough, I declare that pressure broken. I refuse to retreat at the threshold of increase. I advance through resistance with clarity, strength, and divine backing. I address every barrier that appeared when growth became visible. Where opposition surfaced to intimidate, distract, or exhaust me at the point of progress, I declare that strategy exposed and neutralized. I will not mistake resistance for rejection or opposition for denial. I discern the difference, and I move forward with confidence. Father, break the pattern where struggle always followed momentum. Where advancement triggered conflict, delay, or confusion, I declare that cycle broken now. I receive grace to expand without warfare at every step. Let ease replace strain and let flow replace friction as I move into new levels. I confront every spiritual force assigned to guard the next level of my destiny. Every gatekeeper that resisted my entry loses authority now. I declare that doors open at my approach and pathways clear before me. What once resisted my movement now yields to divine command. Lord, strengthen my resolve at the moment of expansion. Where fear attempted to rise because growth felt unfamiliar, anchor me in truth now. I declare that unfamiliar territory does not mean unsafe territory. I step forward, trusting your guidance, not my comfort zone. I command every delaying tactic released to wear me down to fail. Where exhaustion, discouragement, or repeated obstacles were meant to slow my pace, I receive renewed strength. I declare that my energy is restored and my endurance multiplied. I will not stop short because of fatigue when you supply fresh strength. Father, recalibrate the atmosphere around my expansion. Where tension once surrounded progress, let peace now govern it. I declare that my advancement will not be accompanied by chaos, confusion, or conflict. My growth is stabilized by divine order and sustained by your wisdom. I reject the lie that resistance means I'm moving too fast. I declare that resistance only confirms movement. I refuse to interpret opposition as a signal to stop. I receive discernment to press through without force and advance without anxiety. Lord, let momentum carry me beyond the point where resistance once prevailed. Where I previously stopped, stalled, or retreated, I now move through and beyond. I declare that nothing assigned to oppose my growth will succeed. My expansion is secured by heaven. I seal this prayer, knowing that resistance at the point of expansion has been overcome. I advance without fear, without delay, and without retreat. The ground that once pushed back now opens, and I move forward under divine momentum. What resisted me has fallen, and I step fully into the increase prepared for me. Heavenly Father, I receive now your divine authorization to exceed every expectation that was placed upon my life. Where limits were defined by statistics, background, age, experience, or past performance, I step beyond them by your permission. I declare that I am no longer governed by what is probable, but by what is possible through you. Let every ceiling formed by human calculation shatter as I move in divine allowance. I reject every forecast that predicted how far I would go and how much I would achieve. Where my life was measured by averages and projected outcomes, I break free now. I declare that my destiny will not follow charts, trends, or historical data. I move by revelation, not prediction, and I advance beyond what was expected of me. Father, release upon me the grace to surpass assumptions. Where people concluded my limits based on appearance, history, or beginnings, I declare those conclusions overturned. I am not defined by where I started or what I survived. I am defined by your call, and your call carries permission to go further than anyone imagined. I receive divine approval to exceed environments that tried to contain me. Where systems were built to manage my growth instead of releasing it, I step out now. I declare that I am not designed to fit comfortably into restriction. I carry expansion, and where I arrive, limits adjust or collapse. Lord, remove every internal governor that tried to keep me within safe boundaries. Where comfort disguised itself as wisdom, dismantle it now. I declare that obedience may require me to move beyond what feels familiar, and I embrace that with faith. I am authorized to grow faster, rise higher, and advance further without guilt. I declare that my success will not intimidate me, where exceeding expectations once felt like betrayal, fear, or danger. Heal that place now. I receive confidence to occupy new levels fully without shrinking, apologizing, or retreating. I am allowed to shine, expand, and increase without restraint. Father, let your voice be louder than every expectation placed on me. Where labels tried to confine my future, erase them now. I declare that no role assigned to me by others can limit the scope of what you have planned. My assignment is larger than the box prepared for me. I receive boldness to pursue what once felt too much, where dreams were postponed because they exceeded what seemed realistic. Revive them now. I declare that nothing you placed in my heart is excessive or unreachable. If you authorized it, I am equipped for it. Lord, establish my steps beyond comparison. Where others' progress was used as a measure for mine, I break that standard now. I do not advance at another's pace or stop at another's ceiling. My journey is unique. My timing is divine, and my outcome is ordained. Father of restoration and speed, I call back every step of advancement that was delayed, stalled, or slowed against my life. Where time was wasted through resistance, confusion, misdirection, or enforced waiting, I declare redemption now. I refuse to accept permanent loss for temporary delay. Let everything that took longer than it should have begin to move with urgency and divine acceleration. I confront every power that tampered with my timing. Where progress was intentionally slowed just to frustrate my faith, I declare that manipulation broken now. I recover momentum that was drained and strength that was exhausted through prolonged battles. I decree that what once required excessive effort will now respond swiftly to divine order. Lord, restore opportunities that were postponed because I was held back. Where doors opened, but I arrived late due to unseen restraint, reposition me now. I declare that missed moments are not lost moments when you intervene. Bring back access, favor, and alignment that delay tried to cancel. I speak to every season that overstayed its assignment. Where waiting became a prison and patience was abused, I declare that season ended. I move forward without carrying yesterday's slowness into tomorrow's progress. My pace is recalibrated according to divine timing, not past obstruction. Father, compress time on my behalf. Let results that should have come earlier begin to manifest rapidly. Where years of effort produced little, let days now produce much. I declare acceleration without confusion, speed without error, and progress without burnout. I reject the lie that delay has disqualified me. Where prolonged waiting tried to convince me that I was late, forgotten, or behind, I receive truth now. I'm not behind schedule. I'm stepping into restored timing. My destiny adjusts to divine rhythm, not human clocks. Lord, strengthen my capacity to handle accelerated movement. Where sudden progress could overwhelm me, prepare me now. I receive wisdom to manage increase, clarity to sustain momentum, and discipline to steward speed responsibly. I command every lingering residue of delay to release me now. Where hesitation, overthinking, or fear lingered after obstruction, lifted, remove it completely. I declare that my spirit responds quickly to instruction and my actions align swiftly with purpose. Father, let recovery overtake regret. Where I mourned lost time, replace it with multiplied progress. I declare that my future will not be shortened because of past delay. What was slowed is now overtaken by grace and divine speed. I seal this prayer, declaring that delay is reversed and acceleration is activated. I move forward with restored time, renewed strength, and unstoppable momentum. What took long now moves fast. What stalled now advances. And what was delayed now arrives right on time by your power. Lord of all dominion, I step now into territories that once required permission, struggle, or prolonged resistance, and I declare them open by your authority. Where access was previously denied, delayed, or complicated, I receive unhindered entry now. I do not force doors open. They open in recognition of the authority you have placed upon my life. I move forward without negotiation, delay, or opposition. I declare that new spaces recognize me before I arrive. Where unfamiliar ground once felt hostile or unwelcoming, let alignment greet me now. I'm not an intruder in the places you have prepared. I enter without apology, without fear, and without the need to prove my worth. My presence carries legitimacy, and resistance dissolves at my approach. Father, remove the struggle from advancement. Where progress once required excessive effort, let grace now lead me. I declare that my steps are ordered and supported, not contested. What once demanded exhaustion now responds with ease. I move into new territories without warfare because the battle has already been settled in the unseen. I break the belief that growth must always be hard. Where my mind learned to associate expansion with pain, retrain me now. I declare that advancement can be peaceful, stable, and sustained. I receive rest even as I rise, and clarity even as I expand. Lord, clear every path before me. Where access routes were blocked, complicated, or confusing, simplify them now. I declare straight paths, open gates, and clear direction. I move forward without detours, delays, or unnecessary resistance. I step into rooms that once felt unreachable. Where my presence was once questioned or resisted, I'm now welcomed and recognized. I declare that I belong where you have sent me. My arrival is timely, my placement intentional, and my influence divinely arranged. Father, establish my authority in new territories. Where I once needed endorsement, I now carry intrinsic authorization. I do not borrow influence or seek approval. I walk in confidence, knowing you have gone ahead of me. What once required validation now yields to divine backing. I declare that unfamiliar ground will not destabilize me. Where new levels once created anxiety or uncertainty, anchor me now. I am rooted even as I expand. I carry stability into new environments, and I remain grounded while advancing. Lord, let every system I enter adjust to the grace upon my life. Where structures once resisted change, let them realign now. I declare cooperation instead of contention, openness instead of opposition, and support instead of strain. Seal this prayer, declaring that new territories are open and accessible. I advance without struggle, move without resistance, and enter without delay. What once seemed unreachable now lies before me, and I step fully into the spaces prepared for me by your hand. Everlasting Father, I stand now under a new order established by your authority, where limitation no longer has permission to return. What you have overturned cannot be reinstated, and what you have released cannot be recalled. I declare that my life is no longer governed by temporary breakthroughs or fragile victories, but by a permanent shift into freedom, expansion, and forward motion. The old order has passed, and a higher command now rules my path. I decree that ceilings do not reform behind me. Where I move forward, restriction does not follow. I refuse cycles where freedom is temporary and advancement must be fought for repeatedly. I declare that the systems enforcing limits are dismantled at the root, and no residue of control remains active in my life. Father, establish continuity of progress over my destiny. Where movement once came in bursts followed by resistance, I declare sustained advancement now. My growth will not be interrupted, my progress will not be reversed, and my expansion will not collapse under pressure. I move forward steadily, securely, and without retreat. I declare that my life now responds to divine order, not opposition. Where conflict once dictated my pace, peace now governs it. Where struggle once defined progress, alignment now defines it. I walk in a flow where obedience produces movement and faith produces results without warfare at every step. Lord, anchor this new order in my mind, spirit, and actions. Where fear of reversal once lingered, remove it completely. I declare that I do not advance cautiously anymore. I move confidently, knowing that what you have established cannot be undone. My confidence is rooted in your authority, not my circumstances. I receive permanence and blessing. What opens, stays open. What begins, continues. What is released remains active. I reject instability, inconsistency, and fluctuation. I declare that my life operates under divine consistency, where increase is sustained and progress compounds over time. Father, let my steps be governed by wisdom that preserves momentum. I receive clarity to make decisions that protect advancement and discernment to avoid distractions that drain progress. I move forward intentionally, not impulsively, and I remain aligned with your purpose as I expand. I declare that limitation no longer recognizes me. Where resistance once responded to my movement, silence now follows. The systems that enforced boundaries no longer see me as subject to their control. I have crossed into a realm where my progress is acknowledged and unchallenged. Lord, let this new order affect every area of my life. My work, my calling, my relationships, my influence, and my future now operate under this higher rule. I'm not free in one area and bound in another. I walk in holistic freedom, complete alignment, and total forward motion. I seal this prayer with authority and faith, declaring that a new order of limitless movement is established over my life. I will not return to former boundaries, revisit old ceilings, or renegotiate expired limits. I go forward permanently, governed by divine command, sustained by grace, and upheld by your everlasting power. Beloved, as I rise from this moment of prayer, I know with certainty that what has been declared before heaven cannot be overturned on earth. The limits that once held me have lost their authority, and the boundaries that defined my past no longer recognize my future. I do not return to old levels, old cycles, or old restrictions. I move forward under a higher ruling, sustained by divine backing and protected by everlasting grace. I carry this truth with confidence. My advancement is not fragile, my breakthrough is not temporary, and my freedom is not conditional. What God has established over my life stands firm. I walk boldly into the days ahead, Knowing that resistance has been silenced, access has been granted, and momentum has been secured, I am authorized to go further, rise higher, and remain there. I stay anchored in faith, aligned with purpose, and I refuse to shrink back into familiar limits. The path ahead is open. The order has shifted, and my season has changed. Stay protected. Stay victorious. This is my everlasting solution.